Hey everybody, welcome to this video. This is Shane Smolian from Wolf Trade Futures, and we are going to look at oil now. We're going to verify the oil lunar cycle, and I've got my spreadsheet set up here for oil, and we're going to look at the first back test that we're going to see is going to be roughly 15 years here. So I'm going to go over here to the oil chart. This is oil here. We did this before, just looking at both the lunar cycle by zodiac sign and also the lunar cycle by aspect. So I'm going to do the same thing. Remember, this was just one big sweeping move. So I'm going to add the zodiac signs first to our box, our composite box, and then I'm going to add the sun, moon, which has a similar shape, but it's a little bit different in terms of the bottom. We're going to add that in, and then I'm going to open up my composite box here, and we're going to look at the full gamut here. So I'm just going to go all the way back. I have my learning curve set up here, by the way, all the way to I have the learning curve set up to the full 15 years. So the blue region here is the learning curve, and so it's the full period here. So this is just a simple back test that we're going to do. So I'm going to highlight this period into here first, and we're going to go all the way back. So 15 years of just back test. And the first thing we're going to look at is the zodiac. So this one does 1704, so 17,004 in a back test. And remember, the back test doesn't necessarily mean anything, so 1704, but that still is a pretty good number. But again, it may or may not mean anything. So we're gonna find out. Again, a big mistake that people make is they try to just look at a back test and they say, well, that's the best one, that's the one I should use. Not necessarily. We're gonna look at the sun moon here, and this one does. This one actually said that it lost 341%. So that's very interesting here. So it says it lost 341% if you're just looking at the sun moon here. So that's interesting. So by first looking at this, we would say that the lunar cycle by signs looks way better, right? I mean, it's like one of them made money, one of them lost money. So which one is the best one? Well, we have to go back and do these different out of sample tests to figure this out, right? So this might be a good example to show us that the back test really means nothing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to only take 10 years. We're going to make it go 5 years into the future. So I'm going to go back here to my learning curve. I'm going to shut these off first. Shut this off. And we're going to go back here to 2020, which is right here. And I'm going to begin our test from that period. So 10 years and then 5 years. Same protocol that we did for S&P, same protocol that we did for gold. And so we're going to look at the moon at this point. I'm going to add that in. Then we're going to look at the moon sun here. I'm going to add that in. And we have our composite box here. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the signs here by the zodiac signs, the moon by the zodiac signs. And we're going to take our region and going to highlight this region from 2020 to the present. So that's going to be the future because it stopped learning right into here. Remember, this was the past into here. So when we look at these tests, we have to understand that there's a period of learning, which is the past, and then there's a period of running live, which is into the future. So this is the past here, and that is what we call the in-sample portion. And then we have the future here. In this case, it's only going to be 5 years, and that's what we would call our out-of-sample portion. Whatever you want to call it, the idea is that we're running it and then we're stressing it out into the future for multiple years. So let's see how this did here. So I highlighted this region into here, so we're going to add the buy-sell signals. So this one here does, if you just look at the moon or the zodiac sign for oil, this one does 1284. That's pretty good. So you can see it up here. It's 1284. And the buy and hold was 71% during that period, but we're going long and short on these, so 1284. So this one does 1284. And let's look at the sun moon on this one. Sun moon on this one does negative 86. So it's still outperforming it. So in this particular case, the zodiac signs are outperforming. Negative 86 so far. So let's go next to 5 years of learning and then 10 years into the future. So far, the lunar by the signs are the best ones. So for oil, it's looking like it has a little bit of a different pattern than S&P and gold, right? But let's just continue to make sure that we can verify this across multiple time intervals here. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to close this out, and we are going to we're going to make the learning curve go to here. So we're going to make it go to 2015, and then we're going to run our test again. So we're going to go here to look at the moon versus the moon. Add that one in, and then I'm going to look at the sun versus the moon. Add that one in. Okay, so then we're going to go here to our composite box. I'm going to look at the moon, which is the zodiac signs first. And this time we're going to highlight 10 years out of sample. So we're going to highlight these 10 years here out of sample. That's what we want to test. And so the moon in this case this one lost money. So the moon in this case lost 243. So it was minus 243. And now we're going to look at the sun moon during this period. This one lost 53.96. Didn't lose as much, but still lost, minus 53.96. So they both didn't do too well out of when you made it go 10 years. But what we did see here is a pattern here where on the back test and on the 10 years in sample 5 years out, the lunar by signs was better. So let's test it inside of that just to make sure. So we're going to go 13 here, 13. We're going to go 2. So we're going to go 13 years in sample and then 2 years out of sample on this one on the oil. So let's close these out. And we're going to go 2 years to the past. So we're going to go, here's 1 year, so 1 year, 2 years. So we're going to go about right to there. And we're going to run the test again. So we're going to go to the moon. Add that, which is the zodiac signs. We're going to go to the moon sun, which is going to be the aspects. And then we're going to open this up. And moon's right there. All right. So we are just going to look at this portion here, this last couple of years. That's what we're going to look at. We want to see how did it do into the future. And so the moon here, it actually lost 5.9%, minus 5.9. And this one here, the sun moon, it lost 23.79. So it still did worse, minus 23.79. So the lunar cycles it was still better if you did it by the signs, but it's lost money. So let's go one more then. Let's go look at this 14.1. So what I'm seeing here is that these are both weakening here. If I go 14.1 into here, I'm going to look at 1 year here. We're going to see if you just did this for 1 year, what would it have done? So this data is not as conclusive as the other ones. I mean, I'm still leaning towards the zodiac sign on this, but it's definitely not as conclusive as before, as we saw with the S&P and the gold. Okay, so we're looking here. So we're going back to 1 year here. So we're going to go 14 years, 1 year out of sample. So we're going to go here to the moon, which is the zodiac signs. Okay, we're going to add this in. Then we're going to go to sun moon. We're going to add that in. We're going to go over to our composite box, and we're just going to look at the moon situation. And I'm going to look at just this last year. So last year here is going to be just a year. So zoom in so you can see this. So we just want to see how did it do across this last year, roughly a year. So I'm going to highlight this into here. So that's basically what we're looking at here. So the last year, how did it do? And roughly a year. And then we're going to see how this did. So this one does minus 16.61%. And the sun moon did, across this period, 14.6. So again, very inconclusive evidence here. So we really see a mix here. In this case, the lunar sun did better for a year. And so I'm actually curious now. I want to keep looking at this. This is very inconclusive. So first it said that the lunar signs were better in the back test. We know that means nothing, but we did 1 year out of sample, and this one was better for last year. What if we went 13 and 1? In other words, what if I looked at 2024? So I'll go 13 and 1. So let's see what happens in 2024 into here. This is really interesting. This is showing us that this is not a very good cycle to use either way around. But we're going to look at this. We're going to go back another year here, and we're going to go. So this is 1 year. This is 2 years back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go stop here in 2024. We're going to go just a year into the future. So I'm going to look again to see how it did on that, to see if a year at a time, if it's better to look at the moon or the sun moon. So this one's interesting. So let's keep going here. So sometimes you don't get clear data like this, and this is telling us that probably both of these are not the best cycles to use. But we're still trying to make a decision on the one that we want to pick. So I'm going to go to the moon here. I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to just look at this 2024 area into here. So I'm going to go out, roughly out into here. So we started in this September, so September to September. So I'm going to go, this is 2024, so September to September, like 2023, 2024, so it's September to September. That's my region that I want to look at. And let's see how this one did. So the Zodiac sign lost 1.94% in that year. So the Zodiac sign lost 1.94% during that period. And let's see how the lunar cycle did with the sun and by aspect. It lost 34.54%. So I think what we're seeing here, guys, minus 34.54%. So what we're seeing here is very inconclusive data here. So I would say it just, from what I'm seeing here, it appears that neither of these graphs, neither of these cycles are very good to use for oil. And so it's really inconclusive because 1 year, so we have 1 year, if we did 1 year at a time, we saw that 1 year the sun lunar did better in this case here, and then the other year the lunar cycle by signs did good here. It's very all over the place. If you had to like twist my arm and say which one would you choose, I would say probably that neither of them are very good, but I think I would still have to lean to this one, because if you look at this one, the number of times that it won was more, right? So in this case it beat this one, in this case it beat this one, this case it lost, this case it beat it, this case it beat it, right? In this case it lost. So if we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 out of the 6 times it beats the sun lunar. However, there were months here when we just did a year at a time, it can't even make money across a year. This one made money across 5 years, but you can see here, there's really no consistent pattern here. So I would say if you had to pick one, I would pick this one, but really neither of them are very good in this analysis. So I hope this points out to you the importance of looking at this forward-looking data. I mean, maybe we can find a better cycle to use than the lunar cycle for oil, but according to this, I mean, if you have to pick one, use the Zodiac sign, but probably neither one is very good. So you would have to use this in conjunction with something else that you're trading. So that's the basic outline here, comparing or verifying the data of the oil lunar cycles. So again, no real clear winner here in terms of no consistent winner. But I would say I probably would pick the lunar cycle, but I wouldn't recommend either one at this case, just based upon what we're seeing here. All right, guys. So that's all I got for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great day out there. Stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out.